Thank you so much for checking out Grainhouse. I wanted to record a simple video right here from my office to give you an overview of what Grainhouse is and what we are building. So first, some of the backstory here. Grainhouse, the reason why we're building it is I believe that in the next 7 to 10 years, we're going to see a level of disruption hit the market due to automation and artificial intelligence, um, or maybe even a combination of both. That most business pundits and people writing about it are barely scratching the surface. A lot of folks are saying like, "Don't worry about it; it's not going to be as big of a deal." I think it's going to be a really big deal when you look at just truck drivers alone, just transportation alone, which autonomous driving is the easy kid to pick on because everyone knows that driving is coming. Right now, it's just a matter of time. It's not an if, it's a when. So when that happens, just the United States alone, just the U.S. alone, 24 million jobs, just that. Um, and that's not even thinking about the ripple. That's not even thinking about like the cafes that they used to stop at, where the truck drivers would come through. Like all this type of ripple effect. You already see automation happening in the farms. You already see automation happening in the fast food restaurants with the kiosks. Um, you know, Major fast food chain just a few weeks ago spent $300 million on a data science company. A data science company. This is not to scare you. This is just me coming from a practitioner standpoint that this is real. Disruption is going to happen. And for me, like I hear a lot of people talking about universal income and the different things that governments may do to be able to help this. And I don't know what the answer is going to be. I don't know, depending on what country you are, the government answer to what they're going to do with massive unemployment. I don't know, but I do know this: whatever their answer is, whatever their solution is, I don't want to be standing in that line. And I'm pretty sure there's probably a few million of you out there that don't want to be standing in that line either. So how do we prepare? What can we do now so that we're prepared to be sustainable when the market shifts? Now that we're catching it early or early enough, hopefully, to be able to do something about it. Um, and the idea of what Greenhouse actually is and how we built it actually came about a year ago on a Sunday, driving home with my son, 11 years old, now 12. Um, Wants to be an architect when he grows up. Super smart kid. In fact, we're in 2 weeks we're going to the Lego Robotics World Championship or something like that. For they build autonomous robots that like it's really cool. If you get a chance, Google it. Anyway, driving home on a Sunday from Costco's, um, and we're just talking in the car about like what the future may hold. And he wants to be an architect when he grows up, so we're just talking about like, is the future going to look like like Iron Man and Jarvis, where he's able to design buildings just by talking to the machines. And I said in passing, whoever figures out what to do with all these people um, is going to really help the world. And thinking to myself, didn't say this, was it's like the buggy and whip um, versus the car. Only this time, we people were the horses, and it's not going to turn out so well. Now, and the old saying like from the mouth of babes, right? Like my son just thought about it for a second. He said, "Dad, would this work?" And he just gives me this idea that planted the seed of what became Greenhouse. And the the concept is fairly simple. So if you look at the camera market, so iPhones, right? Or phones. Think of cameras, point and shoot traditional cameras. Majority of those sales have dropped drastically because most people we use the camera in our phones, right? But at the same time, the SLDR or whatever you call it, the high end, the high end cameras, the big kits you see everyone coming out, that market shot up like I don't know, like 4,000% or something crazy. I think we're going to see that same trend happen everywhere. So you're going to see the commoditized product collapse, but you're going to see the high end version or the version with a story. It's artisan, it's organic, maybe not even organic, but um, there's some sort of missional story around the product. Either it sells to a high-end market, or it has some sort of emotional inducing story on it. Something. It's gonna have to have something that's human attached to it, or high-end that the handmade factor makes it more valuable. So it, we think that um, if we can help small companies, so individuals, individual makers, um, consultants, entrepreneurs, companies, I'd say between 0 to 15 million in revenue, like that block, that small SMB block, that is the spine of not just the U.S. economy, the global economy. Um, if we can help them become sustainable and like drastically sustainable, then it's going to create an ecosystem that can absorb the disruption to the market that's coming. So how do you do that? Our thought is what we're really good at is building teams and enterprise sales. That's our two core strengths that we feel like we can do just about better than anyone in the world, or at least toe to toe with anyone in the world. And so the thought is, if you think of like the largest companies in the world, the IBMs, the Microsofts, the Walmarts, the Amazons, etc. They're so massive that if you disrupt a company like that by 1%, just 1%, you're not going to fundamentally change the infrastructure, or my point is, you're not going to do harm to the organization. Because if we create something that creates so much disruption that these companies shrink drastically, you're not really helping anything. All you're doing is taking jobs here and moving them here. That's not what we want to do. We want to do it in a way that keeps jobs as much as possible intact here, and we also create them here. So the goal is, if we can create solutions, enterprise level solutions, but instead of using the Accentures or IBMs, or again, big company name here, we use the local web developer in Brooklyn, or we use the textile factory in Turkey, or whatever the case may be, or the local coffee roaster in Seattle. And if we can take it to where the product um, has a story, has a real human story, product or service, and we're able to, in many cases, I'd say almost in most cases, we can meet, or even in some cases cut the cost that an enterprise client is paying, um, sometimes by 15 or 20%, because a lot of times these big companies, as a lot of these suppliers, a lot of as we know, um, they'll go and win a customer, but then they'll outsource that work anyway to very much of the same people that are probably watching this video. So a lot of times we can cut that margin, provide the enterprise customer with the same product, sometimes better, same service, sometimes even better, and sometimes even cheaper. So the goal isn't, again, we're not going to be able to beat IBM on every sale, obviously. We're not going to be able to beat Microsoft at every sale. Doesn't make sense to even attempt to do that. Our goal is 1%, literally 1% disruption. And also something else that's interesting that's coming up because of Grainhouse is because we're wrapping up suppliers in 70 categories across 70 different markets. Um, we're creating an ecosystem of middle market and small companies that are trading and doing sales with each other, which is fantastic. So even though the revenue per sale is smaller, the volume is impressively high. So you get this community effect that happens, this ecosystem effect that is super profitable. So again, we think the market's going to be disrupted. We think we have a little bit of a window to be able to build something sustainable. And we're rolling this out worldwide. So here's how it works. Actually, I'm going to flip the camera over and I'm going to show you how we're building it, and how you can get involved should you choose. First, All of our partners at Grainhouse are already great at their craft rather than being suppliers and people. Every partner has walked through our four foundational areas to be successful with Grainhouse. It is critical that our partners follow our process as each foundational topic builds on the previous one. The order of our foundations is core, brand, ops, and sales. First, we focus on you as a partner. We incorporate two guided trainings in this area. The first is Start with Why by Simon Sinek. I personalize each copy to each partner and we go through the book. With Grainhouse, we get entrepreneurs from every stage, and we have found that the founders who think they don't need this book are the ones that need it more. It's critical that the business you're building or the profession that you've chosen is one that you are really passionate about. Next, after we have established both what you're building and why you're building it, we take a look at you. We glean some training I have learned from Garrett J. White's Wake Up Warrior, Coin Core 4. It covers business, body, being, and balance. If you're going to be successful at anything, these are imperative tools to learn. If your body is failing you or you are obese, how does that affect your energy levels or your relationships or lack thereof, or your interactions with your kids? If your being, meaning your spiritual side, is not in a good place, how does that affect you? If you are always working in your business but never on your business or expanding your own capacity, how will you ever get better? And if you're never able to connect with your spouse or kids, what's the point of any of this? This training will help give you the tools to take control of these core areas. Next, we cover buyer persona. We take a playbook that I have developed over a decade of designing and building growth and recruiting strategies for brands like Apple, Google, and over 25 venture-backed startups. I help you create the buyer persona to identify exactly who your ideal customer is. Next, we get into brand. We focus on content creation strategies that is specific to your business. Next, we create your sales funnel within Grainhouse, which means we cover the hosting, design, copy, all of it. Why did that skip to ops? Hang on, guys. There we go. Um, we bring you on our podcast and help you create your own podcast with distribution should you choose. And the most important thing that we will do with your brand, within brand, is to create a market map. We will literally map every person in the world who fits your buyer persona. After core and brand, then we get into ops, and we stand this up for you. So operation for us is across four main parts. First, people. This is a great opportunity, especially for entrepreneurs, to transition to a true business owner. So many times, entrepreneur, we try to, or we think that we're supposed to do everything ourselves. We start to teach you a philosophy called who, not how. And it's a way of thinking about, instead of trying to think, how do I get all this stuff done myself? We think about who can get this done for us. Now, being entrepreneurs ourselves, we know what it's like to bootstrap. So we know what it's like to be cash strapped. So we help meet you where you are and help you build a great team, irregardless of your circumstance. On the other side, for our more established partners, my personal background is in building the best teams in the world, like period. So I can help you build a team that can literally take on giants if that's your goal. Next, we cover supplier audit. This is a great revenue tool, and this step alone will actually help many of you get profitable within Grainhouse just from Jump Street, as we get you plugged into our supplier ecosystem. Then we set up the sales process and finance setup, which is unique to each business on how Grainhouse is going to pay you, any proper documentation we need to get in place, merchant account stuff, all the logistics of actually sending you payments. And then finally, we get all of your collateral and copy approved for messaging and all your advertisement stuff, so that's stored. So that way, as we communicate to the market, as we build advertisement for you, anything like that we do, we can be as close to on brand as possible. Now, before we get into sales, understand this. While foundational stuff isn't sexy, this alone, getting these foundational steps implemented will improve your business drastically. It's like the sports saying, offense sells tickets, but defenses win championships. And getting clear as a founder on, or entrepreneur for that matter, on getting control of your major aspects of your life, on what it is you're trying to build, on getting your brand done in a way that's actually creating revenue, or getting your operations right. These are all huge factors that will pay drastic dividends. But I know sales is important. This is why you're here. Let's dive into it. So with Grainhouse, we provide four core sales channels. First, community or partner sales. These are deals that are done within the Grainhouse community. Second, enterprise or direct deals. These are deals that from major buyers that we introduce directly to you, or introduced to you by Grainhouse. Third, inbound. This is particularly important for our any of our e-commerce partners. These are sales that happen through advertisements or inbound driven sales. And then finally, advisory. As a Grainhouse partner, you get paid on any deals that you refer to us, or any partners that you refer to us that sign up. We suspect that quite a few Greenhouse partners will eventually make this a primary revenue stream, as it could create quite a bit of reoccurring revenue. Okay, so what's the ask? So if you're a partner if you partner with Greenhouse, you get everything that I went over, all the support, and our standard pricing is going to be $800 a month plus 20% on direct deals. So 20% on any revenue from relationships that we introduce, anything that's trackable from the inbound, or anything that goes through Grainhouse internally through the community. However, for our first 1,000 partners, we are doing beta pricing. So instead of $800 a month, it's $97 a month. That's only going to be good for the first 1,000. We're going to start increasing every 1,000 until we get, I think we'll do like 97, and then maybe like 197 and 297 and so on, until we hit our goal is 4,000 partners in our first 30 days. So if you're watching this video and it is still April, I would act very quickly to get in touch with us, because I suspect that our 1,000 partnerships will be up pretty soon. But I will tell you this: if we haven't updated this video because we're lazy and we haven't got to it, I will absolutely honor it. So just DM me if the pricing on the site has increased, but this video is still up with this talking about $97 a month. Just DM me and I will honor it. Otherwise, hopefully this video will have gone away, and we'll have much more better team members doing this stuff. So anyway, that's the whole pitch on Greenhouse. If you're interested, sign up. If you're not, that's okay. We get it. We're only looking for a few thousand partners anyway, globally, which sounds like a lot, but there's ecosystems like SAP Ariba that has like 3 million partnerships. So I think our total build's going to be maybe 10 or 20,000 total. So we're going to be itty bitty, but that's how you create sustainability. And unfortunately, we can't help everyone. We have to build this with folks that are like-minded, and that's the way that we're going to be able to, we think, impact the market the best. So thanks a lot for listening.